Did you ever drink beer in high school?
No, not beer, but I do remember having a bag of mushrooms in my refrigerator. And I remember you mentioned your dog.
Yeah.
I had a cat, and my cat used to sneak into the refrigerator and he would steal the mushrooms. And I said, no, and his name was Lewis. I said, Lewis, you can't do that. You can't do that. It's not right. He ate them voraciously. He just loved them. It was like catnip to him. So I thought, well, what the heck? I better do it with him. And I remember lying in my bed for hours, and Lewis was on the desk across from the bed for hours, staring at each other. Not moving. Occasionally he would go, meow, but he would stare at me, and I had no doubt that he was my brother.
Wow.
But having said that, I don't do any of that stuff anymore.
Oh my God, that is such a story.
It is a story. And you know what? And the other thing, later in life, when I was completely not doing any of that, I know he said hi to me. I used to work late. I would come home late from work, and to give him a little treat, I'd bring him a little can of sardines, and he would start eating it and be like, and he'd make little sounds to let me know he enjoyed it. He'd go, meow, 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 meow. Well, that's great. I'm really glad you like it, Lewis. Hi, Lewis. Hi. And he looked up at me and went, hi.
Wow.
It's a true story.
Yeah. But seriously, after the mushrooms, who cares about sardines? Wow.
Yeah. Look, I don't drink blood, and last time I looked in the mirror, I have a reflection, so I'm not going with his vampire theory. I'm just not going to do it.
What was it like working with Cher back then?
Oh, she's a great lady.
Do you stay in touch with her?
No. That's
Why? What? And he says that he. Some of what he was demonstrating he got from you. For example, referring to his girlfriends as goddesses. He says goddesses is a term that he actually heard you use.
Well, there is some truth in that, yes, because we were flying from L.A. to San Francisco, and I did refer to a flight attendant as a goddess, but I had no idea that 23 years Charlie would make it an international reference point for the women in his life.
Yeah.
But I had much worse things to be concerned about on that plane than that.
Like?
Well, I did not know that Charlie had an 8-ball of cocaine wrapped around his ankle. Nor did he know that halfway through the flight, now remember, this was over 20 years ago, and it was a very innocent time, that I was going to grab the PA and announce to the passengers that I was the pilot, and that I was not feeling well, and that I was losing control of the aircraft.
No, you can't. Good Lord.
No. And then when we landed,
the pilot
came out and
I'm not feeling well.
And understandably, he was very angry.
Yeah.
And I quote, he said, quote, not cool, not cool, end quote. Right. And then he pointed his finger in my face furiously, at which point the door to the aircraft whooshed open like a nuclear gateway to a bank vault to reveal 6 fully armed police officers.
Oh, buddy.
And the first thing I did was say, first of all, he had nothing to do with it, and I pointed to Charlie.
Oh.
And then I just very gingerly, very politely, very delicately, kindly talked my way out of going to airport jail.
Yeah. Because with not so much what you did then, but your buddy, you're talking about possible federal time.
Well, I didn't know he was doing that.
Yeah,
so, but I just knew that it was not a good situation.
Yeah. But
and again, it's in my past.
In your
well
past,
over 20 years.
And you couldn't
kids.
You couldn't
just
do
kids.
that. No, yeah, you're just kids, and a lot of fun at the time, and you had a lot of laughs. But I just want to get this straight again. You get a hold of the aircraft PA system,
right?
And you announce, "Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
This is your pilot.
This is Captain."
No, this is your pilot. I'm not feeling.
I'm not feeling well.
I'm losing control of the aircraft.
This is your pilot. I'm not feeling well. Oh, my God. How was your summer? Did you do anything special?
Well, actually, it's funny you should ask me that, because you know I have an interest in zoology, I think, and I just acquired 2 king cobras.
Oh, my God.
A male and a female, and the female's name is Sheba, and the male's name is Moby because he's an albino, so it's like Moby Dick. And I have them behind 2 computer-locked doors behind bulletproof glass. And I like to go in there. Well, actually, if they bite me, I won't get bit, but if they do, I've got 15 minutes to live, so I have to get like an antidote, which is next to the cage, and I just plunge into my knee and I'll be all right. That's not going to happen, but I like to go in there in my red leather chair, you know, with a glass of wine and watch them as they're watching me. And sometimes Moby will sort of do this little charming snake dance and show his back to me. He's got this like little round circular pattern on the back of his back, and he's doing this dance, and every now and then I'll just turn around and go, "F you, I want to kill you!" So after that, I have to just sort of kind of, I say, "Good night, kids," and I go upstairs. I have to lie down and think about what just happened. Usually my parents sent me to camp, to YMCA camp, and I remember I was about 8, and I was in my sleeping bag, and there was a campfire, and everyone had gone to bed, and I was in my pajamas, and then I felt this like tap, tap, tap on my shoulder, and I woke up to find this 10-year-old girl in her pajamas in her sleeping bag, and she just held me and kissed me. Wow. And it was like a grown-up kiss, and I was like, wow, I'm a man. And I was like, what is going on? This is wonderful. Yeah. And then I remember we held each other in our little pajamas all night, and then in the morning she ignored me. And then another day went by and she ignored me, and 7 days was left of this camp. It was another week and she ignored me the whole time, and needless to say, I'm emotionally scarred by the experience. But even though I had my heart broken when I was 8, I realized that there is a silver lining to every sad story, and it made me tough, and it prepared me for the shape of things to come. One thing I will say is that when there's a TV show on that has one of my movies, I turn it off because I try to keep it as normal as possible in my home, and I don't want my son knowing what I do for a living. And sometimes
how old is your son now?
He's 4.
4 years old, and you don't want him to know that you're
I don't want him to know, because I've noticed that recently at the dinner table he's been saying things like, Nicolas Cage, could you please pass the salt? What about your son? Does he ever refer to you as David Letterman?
No, he has referred to me as Nicolas Cage, though, which is in its own way troubling.
Right. Yeah, I can see where it might. There's allegedly a haunted forest there known as the Hoyu Baciu Forest, which is...
Hoyu Baciu. It's
correct.
Haunted.
And it's considered the Bermuda Triangle of forests simply because people tend to go in and not come out. So naturally, I wanted to go there. So I went to the forest, and there was this man walking through it, and I rolled down the window of the car, and I said, "Excuse me, do you live here?" with the translator. And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Is this forest haunted?" And he took about a minute and stared at me and went, "Yes." And I said, "By what?" And then he took about 2 minutes, and then he said, "Have you seen the people who float with no legs?" And I said, "No, but I hope to real soon."
And did you ever see them?
No, I did not. And then when I was 15, I started working at the Fairfax movie theater selling popcorn and tickets at the concession stand, trying to figure out how to get from the stand to the screen. So I always wanted to be in film.
Right.
And I had idols, heroes like Marlon Brando and Jack Nicholson and James Dean and Eastwood, and that's really what I wanted to do.
Right. But still in all, even though you're in a theater watching movies and selling popcorn, it's an enormous leap then to actually being in the...
Well, that's...
How were you able to take that next step?
But that was where the dreaming came in, and the desire and the power of imagination is really what kind of motivated me. But even when I was 8, I was making home movies with my brother Christopher.
Is that right?
And he would make these little films with a Super 8 camera, and they were very intense because I was 8 years old, he was 10, and we did this picture called The Unknown Circus. I call it a picture, but it's just a tiny little 8mm home movie. But I played a trapeze. I played the tightrope walker, and he was a trapeze artist that was jealous of me, and he was shooting me with a gun because of something involving a girl. This is going on when we're like 8 and 10, so it was
pretty advanced,
pretty
really.
advanced, yeah.
And what did the snake say to you again?
Well, and he's done it several times, so I know it quite well. He said, "F*** you, I want to kill you."